What's going on, fight fans? I'm back here set again for with you guys. Going to go in depth, give the recap of the UFC 311 card. Can't be able to wait to go down, especially through the main card of this 311 card was actually really, really good. But I will say throughout the majority of it, especially through the prelims, was just ready for the main card to be able to start. We'll just get through that. But the first fight on the card, we had to be Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. Pretty much just set out on the feet in the first round. It was pretty decent, tit for tat here and there. Tagir, I think, was getting the better of it. But once it got to the ground, especially in the first, second, and third round, Tagir was just on another level in terms of his grappling and wrestling. Really was dominant on the ground against Clayton Carpenter, even though Carpenter had his moments on the feet. Moving on up the card, next we had Bernardo Sopaj versus Ricky Turcios, and man, what a banger of this fight was actually. Honestly, probably the best fight um, on the prelims. I'm not going to go on the card, but on the prelims for sure. These guys were swinging and banging, especially Bernardo landing a lot of shots on Ricky Turcios' chin. I really don't know how Ricky took that many punishment as he did in this fight. I mean, Jesus Christ, knees up the middle, hooks on the chin. I mean, he just took an absolute beating, but he was giving it to Bernardo's way as well, especially in that first round. I think he definitely got the best out of most of those exchanges, but once the later rounds, the second and third, came in, just the skill and talent tier level was just starting to show, and he was just left a bloody mess towards the end of that fight. But a good, gritty performance for Ricky Tercios. But Bernardo Sopaj, especially from getting knocked out with that flying knee for by Vinicius Oliveira, great bounce back win for himself. Moving up the card, we had Murin Gaforov, versus Rinya Nakamura. And by the Almighty, we had a nice switch up with the Japanese guy actually being a heavy grappling base, and Muin actually being the more of a striker type, but with the name off being, especially on this card, with the hierarchy of Muslim and the Khabib camp being on this card, there was no way that Moon was going to get down taken easily on this fight. And he actually looked really spectacular, especially with his kickboxing. He was actually really, really well with his striking. And Ringer did had no answer for him on the feet at all. Couldn't be able to really take it to the ground. So he was just getting beat up pretty easily by Morgan Gafarov. Good performance by him, and I really liked how he looked in this fight. Moving on up the card, we had Olen Perez versus Caro Rosa, and this is where we get into my predictions. And honest to God, my predictions were pretty trash, pretty bad. But anyways, we'll move on later to that. Olen Perez and Caro Rosa, pretty much a tit for tat game. Kyle Rosa bringing the pressure, coming forward a lot more on Elin Perez, and Elin Perez actually having a pretty good kickboxing game, moving back, trying to be able to get away from the pressure and pace, and get some type of offense her way to push Kyle Rosa back and actually get it more grimy and gritty and getting more grappling and wrestling in this fight. And she did secure a few takedowns, especially in the first and second round, that really got her to win the fight. And in the third round, it was pretty much just a tit for tat game with the kickboxing. A few kicks here and there. You could definitely see the kicks for Cara Rosa was a little bit more effective on her end compared to Aylin Perez. But all in all, the victory went to Aylin Perez. She got the few takedowns in the first two rounds, and she got where she needed to go. Good ranked winning for her to push herself up in that division as well. Cara Rosa is actually a really good fighter, in my opinion, in that division. And now moving up the card, we had Grant Dawson versus Diego Carlos Faa. Pretty much what I expected it to be. Diego Fea being a tremendous striker of how he is, especially on the feet, just really doing the job that he's doing well at. But Grant Dawson is wrestling, the way that he just smudges his way through victories throughout the entirety of the fight. He was having Carlos Ferreira on the ground. He kind of had no answer. A few up kicks here and there and a few exchanges on the feet was actually very entertaining throughout the fight. But besides that, it was just a complete domination, encasing and showcasing of the wrestling for Grant Dawson, something that we already know and expected out of him. But it being on the feet, it was a little tricky here and there. He actually got rocked a few times. Diego Ferreira got rocked a few times, so it was all right. Moving up the card, we had Bogdan Gusov versus Billy Elakina, late replacement for Bogdan, who was supposed to go against Johnny Walker. And really coming in, I mean, Billy never heard of the dude, debut on the UFC, and he actually did pretty well. He got got a little showcase, on the feet. Did pretty well in that first round. Got the takedown on Bogdan. Took the back, had control, was in dominant positions, threatening with the chokes, doing things, pretty well. And then towards the end of the round, Bogdan reversed position, got in the choke. Billy actually tapped, but he tapped after the first round bell sounded. And then once that second round started, it was pretty much the beginning of the end. I mean, that's kind of how it was when you saw this fight, when it was going to come up. Got a few shots, hit on Billy, and rocked his head back with that straight right hand. As soon as that happened, he just really started to cover up really well. Got a few body shots in. Bogdan put him down, put him on one knee, and he was literally just taking punishment to the face because he wasn't able to stand up like a man. And he took a beating, got subbed, got choked out, tapped out. Shout out to Billy Elina, though. Late replacement, did what he could. He actually, showed out in that first round, did pretty okay. But like how we all thought, got his ass whooped. Moving up the card, we have Azamad Bakoev versus Zachary Reese, another late replacement. A lot of late replacements on this goddamn card, unfortunately. But Azamad coming in for Cedric Dumas, completely different type of style of fighter for Zachary Reese. Zachary Reese with the bald head, cut off the curly hair on top of the head, and just look like it was just on another level, a step up, honestly, that he could have been able to get right for him. Azamat getting that takedown, getting the control, having the dominant position on top of Zachary Reese, while on the feet it was kind of okay, but it really got finished in that first round. Ground and pound really put Zachary Reese out, and then the referee really didn't save him towards the end of that fight. And it was all she wrote from there. Shout out to Zachary Reese. I thought he was actually pretty out for a while, but he should be all right. I'm hoping. And moving on to the prelim headliner, we had the absolute fraud check of the year, the biggest exposee showcasing what should have been a real showcasing and coming out performance for Peyton Talbott going against the wily veteran Ronnie Barcelos, the poor man version of Jose Aldo, and man, did Peyton Talbot just get worked, bro. As soon as Ronnie Barcelos got that takedown in that first round, and I seen that Peyton Talbot had issues trying to get back on his feet and really get the striking mix back into it, I knew he was in for a long fight. I called it to go all 3 rounds. I thought Peyton Talbot was going to be able to pull it out towards the end. But definitely he needs work, especially with the grappling, with the takedown defense, 100%. Got taken down and controlled for the majority of the first and second round. And while he was able to get on the feet and throw a couple of strikes, Ronnie Barcelos actually had some couple of things to be able to show him as well. He landed a few nice strikes himself as well. Clearly 100% won the fight easily, I may add as well. Peyton Talbot, definitely, man, just work on that takedown defense, bro, because Jesus Christ. We thought we had a start. He was undefeated for a while. Had a really nice highlight reel KOs on his record. But this Ronnie Barcelos, man, he got chinned by Umar Nurmagomedov, dude that was fighting for the belt. Honestly, as of right now, I mean, looking back at it right now with Peyton Talbot on his resume is a really good win for Ronnie. But man, talk about getting exposed, brother. We need to see Peyton get and hit the grind a lot more, and man, he just wasn't ready, man. Just wasn't ready. But moving on to the main card, we had the start off of it, and that was Kevin Holland, man. I mean, what can I say, bro? Absolute fucking disgrace of a performance it was. Kevin Holland versus Reiner the Ritter, dude that was looking like, I don't know how he barely pulled off that one against GM3. He struggled so much against GM3, but made it look like cake work against Kevin Holland. Wasn't really much to be able to see who was standing on the feet, really, because as soon as it got to the ground pretty easily and pretty quickly for Reiner the Ritter. And he completely just dominated him. Got some ground and pound in, got some scrambles in, and he just got in and six in that choke, and he got Kevin Holland there, man. Very disappointing out of Kevin Holland. I really don't know uh, what to expect out of him. He said he wants to fight 7 times this year, and the way that it's looking, he's just getting the show money and not no win money, and not no bonuses as well. He lost 4 of the last fights of his career recently. Just very Like, what are we doing, bro? Reiner the Ritter, bro, the like former champion of one FC, MMA. Like, I don't watch one for MMA, bro. I don't. I'm watching it for kickboxing. I'm watching it for Muay Thai. Watching it for the striking. And Reiner the Ritter is a shitty striker. And he somehow, he just dominated Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland, he couldn't even keep this on the feet, bro. Goodness gracious. Anyways, moving up the card, we had a fight that was actually supposed to be scheduled on the prelims but moved up to the main card. Jilton Almeida versus Sergey Spivac. And at least I was wrong, but I was wrong in the right way. I mean, Sergey Spivac, one thing I will give him 100% credit for it. He was looking lean and mean in there, baby. He cut off that blubber, that little lean gut that he had in there, man. He cut it out, and he was looking pretty good in there. A little bit of good exchanges is on the feet. You know, something you really don't expect and see out of Jilton Almeida because he really doesn't even showcase his striking at all. So it's really good to see that he can actually throw a punch and a kick every now and then. But then we get into the scrambles. Actually, Spivac initiates it, gets the takedown. They get a reversal. Jilton Almeida gets top control. Then they get another reversal, and Sergey looks like he's actually in control of what's actually happening in terms of the grappling and the scrambles and all these other situations. And then all of a sudden, they stand up on the feet. They get into some exchanges, and it just so happens that Jilton Almeida hurt Sergey Spivac on the feet. He's kind of like wobbling and bobbling all over the octagon. Not super hurt, like not like crazy hurt, but hurts him enough to the point where it's looking like, oh, like he's actually showing something that he can be able to throw a punch correctly and it actually has some type of power behind it. You know, the body is not just for aesthetics and for pleasing of the women, if you know what I mean. Jilton Almeida has some power in that body every now and then, if you know what I'm saying. So he showcases that, hurts Sergey, and then we get the stoppage after he has him on the ground. He's looking possibly for submissions and hitting him with this ground and pound. And, you know, good bounce back. Not really a bounce back win because he already had a win before this one, but good showcasing out of Jilton Almeida going against a grappling mixed MMA type of, fighter in terms of, Sergey Spivac, who's gone submissions. You know, he's pretty decent with the grappling and things of that nature. So shout out to Jilton Almeida. He showed that he got some pop in his hands and he's not just a grappler. And he called out Cyril Gahn, which is honestly for Cyril a terrible matchup for him. Terrible. But I would definitely want to see it. And I would definitely favor Gahn. 100%. Gahn, go to Dagestan and get that wrestling down packed. 100%. And then moving on to the feature fight we have. Jiri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill completely delivered on what it exactly needed to be. Absolute chaos, madness, and a knockout. That's what we needed from, and a showcase from these two former UFC lightweight champions. We got swangin', bangin', meat on meat, real nice, beefy, hefty power shots. A lot of power in the hands of these both guys. But this was a showcase, in my opinion, for Jiri Prochazka of really him getting into a groove. I think he was definitely in his zone. He was definitely aura maxing as of right now. Shout out to the cancer survivor that he's fighting for as well. I hope you be doing good, ma'am. And he just really did. Honestly, he just looked on form. He looked absolutely zoned in, and for a guy to only be shut out, like completely outclassed in terms of getting into a fight with the champion, that being Poatan, and he got dominated twice, and this is how he looks against top contenders in the division. It's rough. It's a hard sell for the lightweight division, but Jiri is a fan favorite. In that first round, I really just liked the counters from Jiri. He looked, again, zoned in. He was catching Jamal Hill a lot of times, especially with his hands being down. Got caught, got clipped, got hurt, and wobbled a few times in that first round. And honestly, I thought might be the beginning of the end because Jiri was just not missing the target at all. And you could already see Jamal Hill was already getting busted up with his eye and his nose. And, man, it was just looking like it was going to be a tough night for Jamal Hill, who I actually had winning this fight, especially by knockout as well. Moving into the second round, I think Jamal Hill got the timing a little better. I think Yuri was getting a little bit more wild, a little too eccentric for my taste. So it still would being close, both landing, tremendous shots. But Jamal Hill finding more of his comfort zone. And in that third round, man, Yuri just dipped back into his bag, man, and just was doing exactly what he needed to be able to do to pull out this type of victory, this type of performance, man. That was just really well hurting and wobbling Jamal Hill many, many times, and then finally countering him with that nice right hook over the top, right on the chin of Jamal Hill, drops him. After he drops him, then looking for that knockout. And shout out to Jamal Hill, just trying to survive and just stay into the fight. And while he's able and he's trying to do that, he's trying to avoid all this punishment that Yuri's trying to put on him. But eventually, he gets the finish, gets the KO. Yuri Prohaska putting his name and ring back into that light heavyweight, belt. I don't know if you go exactly right back to Pereira. I know Pereira's going to be fighting Ankalaev next. And I mean, in the meantime, I don't know if Yuri's going to be wanting to be able to wait that long. Definitely would like to see a fight between him and Khalil Roundtree. That would be absolutely a banger of a fight. But yeah, man, great performance by Yuri Prohaska. Hopefully Jamal Hill can be able to bounce back and get a great performance back in his ways, especially suffering two back-to-back KO losses. But yeah, Yuri Prohaska is back and hopefully better than ever because he looked really, really in the zone in that fight. Now moving on to the co-main event, we had Big Bro Merab Devash versus Little Bro Umar Nurmagomedov. The Nurmagomedov reign has come to an end in terms of all the family members of the Nurmagomedov family tree being undefeated. And it comes to an end by the hands of the machine, the Georgian warrior himself, Merab Devash. It's no secret, though. I do not like Merab. I do not like his fighting style. But damn, this was definitely a compelling and entertaining fight, bar none. Going into the fight, a lot of drama, a lot of emotion, a lot of back and forth and bickering between these two guys. Very high emotions, very raw. I would almost say damn near bad blood. And these guys just delivered, bro. 100%. First two rounds, in my opinion, definitely go to Umar. His kickboxing and his striking and his speed were just on another level that Merab couldn't be able to really handle as well, honestly. So he was getting hit with a lot of great shots, especially in that first round. Had him wobbled, had him hurt, but not hurt to a point where it was, demonstrable for Merab to, flail for a takedown. But while that did happen, while they did get into a scramble exchanges, they did get into their gears in terms of the grappling. Umar was fending it off very well, trying to stay on the feet, trying to stay busy, and trying to be in dominant positions to reverse a lot of positions against Merab. And those first two rounds, it was just clear. It was clear as day that Umar was just head and shoulders above, better than what Merab was looking in that fight. Merab just looked very rudimentary, very simple, especially on the feet. Didn't really have a lot of answers. Was looking for the overhand right and trying to be able to touch with the hand, like trying to fake a takedown, but coming with that overhand right to the top. He was doing that a lot, especially in this fight. But then going into the championship rounds, going into 3, going into 4, going into 5, as soon as that second round finished, I seen Umar's body language, and it was not good, bro. It was not good. I seen him, and I knew Merab was gonna win. I just knew it. I in my heart, in my soul, in my body, I don't like Merab. I might as well go out on a limb and say I hate him. I knew he was gonna lose, man. I knew Umar was gonna lose. His body language, he looked like he didn't want to be in there. He looked like he wanted no parts and no pieces of the fight no more. It looked like the pace, the pressure, and just to keep up with this type of thing that Merab is just on another freaking level. The third round goes in. You see the momentum swing. You see the tide turns the way to Merab, and Merab starts fighting the fight that he fights best. That momentum swing goes his way as Umar is trying his best to be able to, fend off and really keep the momentum that he was having in the first two rounds go his way still. But Merab, man, getting into the clinch, getting those and making Umar fear those takedowns so much, man, and really be worrisome about fending them off so many times. It was just absolutely insane how this dude just gets in your head, man, and not really gets into your head in terms of trash talking or the striking or whatever the case may be. You just fear this dude's pace, pressure, and takedown ability. It is insane. It is on another level, bro. He has to be on some type of fucking steroid. There's no way he's not on steroids. There is not 100%. This dude Merab is not on steroids. No way he's not on enhancers to enhance his cardio, because it is insane the pace this dude puts on you. Once that third round is finished, you're able to see what Merab is doing and putting on this pressure and pace that he is. He just completely dominates him in the fourth and fifth round, makes him look silly, emotes on him, makes him look like Umar with the Nurmagomedov name, like he's pretty much nothing, and does what he does best, man. Just, getting the takedowns. He actually started to mix it up a little bit on the feet, having some success on the feet, landing a few strikes. It was actually pretty impressive. And Umar was just deer in headlights, man. Just really didn't know what to do and had no answer for it. He had a few good body kicks here and there. He had few good strikes to the head of Merab, but it was nothing compared to what Merab was bringing to the table towards the end of that fight in the fourth and fifth round. So, in my opinion, 3, 4, and 5 definitely go Merab, and he just completely just outclassed Umar. Another exposee, another exposed fraud watch of a fighter, undefeated, bantamweight now. So, man, yeah, a lot of prospects, quote unquote, for the UFC are getting out of there that they really were pushing hard to be able to see if they're going to be that next type of fighter that they want them to be. But man, shout out to Merab. He put on definitely a hell of a performance, and he just did it. He did it to him. He really did do it to him. He retains his belt, has a defense, and hopefully, man, he's able to get another fight that, honestly, really, I don't know anybody in that division that can be able to beat him besides maybe Sean O'Malley, because I believe Sean O'Malley can just knock him out. Just find a sniper shot to just clean his clock early, and that's it. But besides that, going full 25 minutes with Merab is like asking, I don't know, you to walk on your knees for 25 miles, bro. It's insane. It is literally impossible to do. And shout out to Umar. He did put in a good performance. He did put his heart. He had a lot of determination and grit into it. But he's just not that guy. He's not that guy yet. Maybe not yet. Maybe not ever. Who knows? This loss may be demonstrative to his confidence or whatever the case may not be. Might ask for a rematch. And maybe he grows to learn from it. I don't know. But Merab, as of right now, is still the king of the bantamweight division. And honestly, I don't like him, but he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT in the bantamweight division. That name and that resume that he has on him, you can't deny Merab's greatness. Anyways, moving on to the main event we had. Islam Makhachev and late replacement, one day late replacement for the main event for the lightweight belt on the line. We have Renato Moicano, Money Mike. Is replacing Arman Sarukian, and yeah, it was pretty much what you thought it was going to be. Domination, not much on the feet. Islam got a takedown. The second try that he got into it with chain wrestling, gets top position. Moicano tries to scramble out, and Islam gets a choke. Same choke that he actually got against Dustin Poirier for that win in his last fight. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And it was pretty uneventful. That fight. The card was mid. There was a lot of highlights. There's a lot of things to take away from it, honestly. Merab, Jiri, Jelton Almeida has power in his hands, finally. Peyton Talbott being a fraud. Elin Perez, she's all right. But yeah, Islam is still Islam. He's still pound for pound number one. Dominated Renato Moicano, who looked absolutely fabulous against Benoit Saint Denis in his last fight. Shows you levels, man. Number 10 ranked and just shows you complete levels, brother. But really, to just get into future fights, I mean, do they give the rematch to Arman again after he pulled out on one day? Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of rough. Maybe they give it to Oliveira, who's coming off a win against Chandler, who was really supposed to be the rematch, even though he lost against Arman. You have Ilya still talking trash on social media, wanting to call out Islam. I think that's definitely the fight to make, but Ilya still has to make that defense, maybe against Volk again. Who knows? I think what they'll probably do is, I think they'll probably rebook Arman versus Oliveira too. And I definitely think if you do that, you have to make it 5 rounds. You get a clear-cut, definitive winner in that fight. And I think that's the fight that you make to book to Islam. But Islam he's just coming off a victory, against Renato where no damage came in. And he subbed him in the first round in like 4 minutes. So maybe you do a quick turnaround against Islam because he just won. So yeah, I don't know. That's the card. Tell me, what do you guys think about this card, UFC 311? Again, like I just said, I thought it was mid. My predictions were absolutely atrocious. I did have Islam winning. Who else did I say that was gonna win? I did say Ronnie Barcelos was gonna take Payne Talbot 2-3 rounds, and it was gonna be a decent fight. I think he definitely was gonna get tested. I got Bogdan right, but he didn't fight Johnny Walker. That would have been an easy dub, honestly, regardless. Um, that's everybody that Grant Dawson I got right, at least. But besides that, everything was pretty trash. Yeah. Prediction wise. But tell me what you guys thought. Comment your opinions on UFC 11. Any fights that you want to see in the future for these guys, especially Islam, Merab. What do you want to see them for the future? Like this video if you obviously like the video, duh. And subscribe, man. Subscribe, UFC fans. We're here consistently throughout 2025 and the future. You know I got you guys. Got your back. Get mine. Please, por favor. Gustas, campeone. Right? Thank you guys again. And peace. Oh, and by the way, he cannot afford to lose. But you did. I'm not trying to be a troll, Money Wake. Shout out to you. You're a real man. You deserve that million that they probably gave you. But yeah, peace. Now, for sure.